Well, Mr. Speaker, welcome to the Progressive Message. This is the hour that the Progressive Caucus comes forward to offer a progressive vision for America, where we put down markers and we signal to the American people that there is a progressive vision, there is a way forward, and that way forward does include principles like generosity, like inclusion, like vision, like openness, like fairness, like sharing. Not a vision of fear, not a vision as, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? We have to throw someone off the bus. But a vision of saying, you know what, we can include people, we can have peace, we can have a society where people are treated equally and fairly. In fact, a few weeks ago, we had a special order where the premise was why I'm a progressive, and we detailed how important it was to take note of the great contributions that progressives have made to America. So we yield back?
Absolutely.
Forgive me for my interruption. And by the way, ask anybody to yield whenever you want them to. We'll just toss the ball around kind of quick.
Sure.
But you made a point that made me like leap to my feet. And here, I just want to draw attention to this chart. Medical bills underlie 60%. I think, Congresswoman, that's the point you were making, of U.S. bankruptcies. This is according to a recent study. Reuters. Medical bills are involved in more than 60% of U.S. personal bankruptcies, an increase of 50% in just 6 years. Now, we've had a certain kind of folks running this place over the last 6 years, right? Anyway, the U.S. researchers reported on Thursday more than 75% of these bankrupt families had health insurance, another point that Congressman Schakowsky just made, but were still overwhelmed by their medical debts. The team at Harvard Law School, Harvard Medical School, and Ohio University reported in the American Journal of Medicine, a very, very reputable institution. This is a quote from the study, using a conservative definition, 62.1% of all bankruptcies in 2007 were medical. 92% of these medical debtors had medical debts over $5,000 or 10% of their pre-tax family income, the researchers wrote. Another startling quote, most medical debtors were well-educated, owned homes, and had middle-class occupations. Now that's pretty serious. For the record, if the gentlelady would yield back, I will not vote for any health care that does not include a public option. I will not do it. That's a guaranteed no vote, and I cannot be dissuaded from that. And I also want to say I am a dedicated single-payer advocate. I am going to continue to raise this issue. I have before. But the fact is, politics is the art of the possible, and we do have the limitation, as the gentlelady from California mentioned, of not having 100% of all the Congress yet being progressives. And so we have to do what we have to do. And I have absolute faith that with a public option along the lines of Medicaid, Medicare, or the VA, that it will outcompete what these other guys are doing. And if they can't outcompete them, then that's fine. But the fact is, I believe that they will. Well, the gentlelady yield back. I mean, the fact is, many insurance companies, I think the whole industry identifies when a person goes to the doctor and needs to actually use that coverage, they call that a medical loss. They see that as a loss to them. That is messing with their money when somebody says, hey, I actually need to use the coverage that you're paying me an arm and a leg for. I mean, that's why some of these companies go out of business. It's not designed to do that. The fact is, we were talking about how medical expense costs families tremendously, and also ends up people having to declare bankruptcy so often. Fact is, that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the overwhelming amount of profit that the industry makes. And I just want to point out that in an industry where you have CEOs making $1.6 billion, like Bill McGuire of United Health Group made, how can you get that kind of money unless a whole lot of people are not getting something that the health care that they should get? I mean, how can you have these exorbitant profits that people are turning over and still cover everybody? Well, you can't do it. You either have to cut people out of coverage, you have to deny claims, and then you can pay exorbitant profits, or you have to actually run a decent system that actually extends coverage. But in that case, you don't have people making goo gobs of money. And so you really do have to make a basic and essential.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, I will. If the gentlelady yields back, let me tell you, cost containment. Remember, anytime I charge you and you pay me, I now made some money, right? I'm not against making money. This is America, and we have a free enterprise system. But there is such thing as abuse. Let me point out, profits at 10 of the country's largest publicly traded health insurance companies rose 428%, I'd say that's pretty good, from 2000 to 2007. In 2007 alone, the chief executive officers at these companies collected a combined total compensation of $118.6 million, an average of $11.9 million each. And if it's an average, you know some made more and some made less. And the fact is that that is 468 times more than the $25,000 a year that an average American worker makes in a year. So the fact is, these folks are making 468 times more than the average wage of an average worker in the United States. And we're wondering why we got problems. There's no wonder why we have problems. That's why we need a universal single-payer system. But if we can't get it now, let's get a system where you keep your insurance and we have a public option.